The 2017 Canadian Lawn Bowling Championships. I'm Jake Shuknik, joined by Daryl Fitzgerald. How are you doing, Daryl?
I'm doing fantastic, Jake. Good morning, everybody. Should be an excellent game of bowls between two top triples teams at the championships.
Unfortunately, we were 2 seconds too late here. I didn't realize they were just jumping right in after trials. We missed Murray rolling an absolute gem on the jack to start. Our feature match here this morning is men's triples gold medal. Saskatchewan versus Ontario B. Saskatchewan is Alex Scott, Grant Wilkie, Murray Patuli. Ontario B is Wayne Wright, Jim Roth, and Tom Roth. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, reach out to us on Facebook or Twitter, at BCB Bowls on Twitter and at BCB Official on Facebook. We will do our best to make this a live and entertaining game. After this game is done, we'll be switching over to D2, I think, is where the women's triples match will be taking place at 10. There will probably be a slight break between the two broadcasts, I guess, because we have to move the scaffolding over. But men starting here at 9, women starting in an hour, so we'll be picking up the women's game maybe a quarter way through, depending on how quick this game goes.
We will do our best to be as quick and efficient as possible to get over there as lightning fast to get you coverage of that game after this.
And I did ask the players before the game started to, if possible, keep to the one side of the rink so that way they're not blocking the camera. So fingers crossed it's not going to be as bad as the Forest game was yesterday, where all we saw was the backside of everybody.
That happens, unfortunately. You're more concentrating on your game than being on TV, as it should be.
Got a message already. We've got a viewer from South Africa who is eager to watch the game. It was, I guess, close to half an hour. No, not even 10 minutes ago, and it was 5:32. So I guess it's 5:44 in the afternoon in South Africa. Glad to have you with us, Sharon. Quick shout out by name.
Perfect. Love to hear from everybody, especially if they're international.
Yeah, absolutely. The more viewers, the better, really. Beautiful. We got lots of tweets coming in. Good luck to the 4 Team Nova Scotia teams battling for medals. Women's pairs for gold from Lawn Bowls Nova Scotia. And Keith Johnson saying the Lawn Bowls results are on bowlscanada.com. Keith's the guy who's made our scoring app, and it's incredibly efficient and easy to use. So big thanks, Keith. Jim just made a beautiful shot there.
Good shot.
We are in for some beautiful bowling here.
This is only N1, folks.
So Grant's going to go down and take a look. The rink next door is actually the men's fours gold medal match, and further down is men's pairs gold medal match. And of course, if you have any questions for Daryl, you can find him on Twitter at Canadian Bowler. Ask us as many questions or leave as many comments as you like.
I sometimes answer them. We'll see.
Yeah, sometimes. We'll see. That's like me monitoring the Facebook page. You know, I'll sometimes answer. We'll see.
If you're nice.
We try to be nice back. Try being the key word.
Grant taking a nice long look at this. Looks like Alex just wants him to play a little overweight into the head. Try to dislodge that jack. If he can spring it over, it might give Saskatchewan a point.
These are some very capable bowlers here. Grant, Alex, and Murray have won the men's fours gold a few years back in Willowdale. And Wayne got silver in the men's triples last year with the Stadnik brothers. So all of these players have been at the majors before, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure Jim and Tom have been. Now they're starting to figure out this rink here. Wayne said, "Look good out of your hand, Jim. Looks good out of your hand." But as you saw, that just held the whole way down. This rink is not the trickiest rink here, but it's definitely not perfect hands on both hands. The non-ditch side does tend to be the more favorable, while the ditch side is definitely still playable, but it's a little more tricky. It takes a little more to figure it out.
It does, for sure. And for anybody that's been watching the stream, you'll probably see some shots that you like, some that you don't. If you've been watching and understand how this rink is playing.
Yeah, if you've been tuning in all week, you should be a pro at this rink by now. You could probably hop in here and figure things out right away. We got really lucky with how the scaffolding got set up here. We don't even need to flip back and forth. This is beautiful. Big thanks to William Whitelaw for moving the scaffolding for us. Al Scott was just playing some decent weight through there.
This could be a fairly quick game. Both teams are quite seasoned and don't take too much time making decisions or lining up their shot. Expect to see a little more of the same from Al here.
Well, that is much more controlled. He got the bull and he chipped the jack back.
Yep. That's exactly what he was looking for.
I wonder if there's a difference here. When we streamed him earlier in the week, he was wearing his cap backwards. Now he's got it on forwards. I wonder if there's a superstitious feel for that.
I don't know, that'd be interesting to know, but it'll also be where the sun is.
Now that hand does hang out a fair bit, and Wayne just drew around everything, and that shot. Beautiful ball there. Grant's using his fingers to check. I guess he'd be probably checking 1 second, maybe. I think he said maybe 2.
Don't know if Alex has enough after throwing a little bit of weight. That's
Before the game, we had Anna Mees, our executive director. She was interviewing all the players to get some basic stats and facts about them, where they're from, how many years they've been bowling, favorite memories, stuff like that. So we'll be filling you in with some personalized details when we can. And Wayne just drew a beautiful bowl on his last bowl at the end.
This is definitely a nice family event. We've got Murray Patulli, who's playing in this game, and he's got his 2 sons, John and Michael, playing in the gold medal match in the pairs. And I know Harriet's in the crowd on the sidelines here, watching both games and cheering them both on. Got Jim and Tom Roth. I know
Two
both
brothers
of their wives were playing, along with what was Michelle Roth, but now Michelle Whitehead.
Yeah.
So
One of their daughters, yeah.
5 of the family making their way out here playing in the Canadian Championships. Those are just amazing.
So we're calling for an umpire measure here right off the get-go. Yeah, when I was writing the press release last night, I thought it was quite interesting that the men's pairs, the gold medal match, is a battle of brothers. John and Mike Patulli are facing off against Ontario's Dave and Rob Steffen. We'll see which brotherly duo proves victorious, as John and Mike are looking to defend their title. They won the pairs last year, and we were told earlier in the week that it's been done at least 3 times, men's pairs defending their title, so we'll see if the Sask brothers can do it here, or if the Steffens can be the new victors.
Don't want to forget to mention that Alex Scott, the skip of the Saskatchewan team, also has his sister here, Fran Scott. She was playing in the ladies' fours.
Just pulled up a chair here. She'll be watching along, cheering on her bro.
That's right.
So it's all gold medal matches on rink 765 here. And an Ontario team is in all of them. The Saskatchewan team is in 2 of them, and Alberta is in the middle.
Yep.
Umpires are really getting into this. There we go. They made some sort of decision.
2 for Ontario.
2 for Ontario. Big thanks to Davey Matthey, Annie Matthey, and the whole organizing committee with all the volunteers here this week for putting on a fantastic show. It's hard to believe it's already Saturday, and this is the final day with all the finals, but I'm sure the volunteers are happy with how the event went. There wasn't too many surprises or hiccups or anything like that I know of. It went relatively smoothly, so big thanks to all the volunteers for helping out. George Cubis and the umpires. George has been working hard for weeks and weeks. It's no easy task to be officiating for a week-long event, but big thanks to all of them. Pretty good opening bowl there from Tom, just a little inside. A little bit of reorganization. I think Wayne just remembered that the cameras are watching, so he moved off to the left. Didn't even have to say anything.
It's okay, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne.
Two of you there.
Well, he was right in the line, so pleased that he moved. Didn't even have to say anything.
Yeah, the last thing we want to do is disrupt the players, but
That's true. That's true. It's about the players first.
that's why when we talk about them, we lower our voices just a little bit, so you can't really hear it.
We are. You can just see the umbrella in the bottom left corner, and we're just underneath that, so we are relatively close to the green where we're sitting. So if the players really tried, I'm sure they could come back and hear what we're saying. We're not shouting, but
Hey, we know every shot. We've got a fantastic advice, so why wouldn't they come over and try to listen in, right?
we have intimate knowledge of this green here. Been watching it all week. We know it like the back of our hands by now. And all of you at home should too if you've been watching.
Well, Murray Petula putting on a clinic here.
Yeah, he is.
Dropping two great opening bowls.
When we streamed this Saskatchewan Triples team earlier in the week against Manitoba. Oh, great shot there from Tom.
Tom is not to be outdone. Huh?
It looked like Murray was struggling a little bit. Quick high five there for Murray when he was on the mat. But yeah, it looked like Murray was struggling a little bit earlier in the week when they were playing on A1 going the other way. But this is the performance I'm more used to seeing from Murray as he's been piling them in here so far the first two wins. Just crashing on a short one, bringing it in a little more.
That's going to make it difficult for Tom to play into it, but I think Wayne is just wanting him to come around.
Just keep building the head. You don't need to make shot here.
Nope. Sorry, Jim, I meant.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me if I say Jim or Tom. I know them both very well.
Yeah, two Roth brothers. That was a great shot there from Jim. His bowls look incredibly shiny. He must have polished those last night.
Yeah, he knew he was going to be on TV, so got to make it look good, right?
All about how the bowls look. There is a slew of spectators here. This deck is just surrounded.
It's really great to see.
Can't really see on the camera, but on the right-hand side, I guess you can kind of see some of the shadows. There are a full lineup and even another standing lineup behind that of people watching. This is great to see. There are, of course, no time limits on games for finals, so these games could take a while or they could be quick. But since it's triples, they're only playing 16 ends. And this is the last year for triples, for the foreseeable future anyway. And Grant just brought Murray even closer into the head.
That does open it up for Jim, though, so now he can actually play into those bowls without something in the way. So good bowl to get to, but possibly an opening for Ontario to actually draw in here. Jim just playing a little over.
Oh, what a redirect. That probably isn't the result he was hoping for off that redirect, because now Murray's bowl that they've been pounding in is now directly behind, and it's not quite as easy of a target now.
No, I'd expect Wayne to probably come down that same side. If he actually gets a piece of Murray's front bowl and the jack, it looks like it's going to squirt over to the three Ontario bowls that are on the right-hand side of your screen.
Grant was down here, and Alex is telling him, you know, here's where I want you.
Yeah.
Based off of what they're going to play, which it seems, I wouldn't say obvious what they're going to play, but you would expect they're going to be playing into that.
Yeah. At this top level of bowls, you have to start anticipating what your opponent's going to do before they do it. And either change it, make it more difficult, or protect yourself just in case something does happen. Grant's got decent weight here, but I think he's just going to rest on the zone.
Well, that might work okay for a guard. Yeah. Plugs up that hole a little bit. Wayne's looking around here now. What am I going to do with this? I wouldn't be surprised if he comes down and plays on the Jim to try to push Tom over a few rolls, just to get a little bit better position for his next. They're looking at playing on Grant onto the jack and see if it'll squirt sideways. Tom does have a bull to the right there. Great to see such a tight head already, as this is only hand number 2. And it's really making these teams think strategically.
Wayne
is pretty quick on the mat.
Yeah. Doesn't waste much time.
Wayne from the Thamesford Lawn Bowling Club in Ontario. My question of the game right now might just be, how many years do you think Wayne's been playing for?
That's a good question. I can tell you right now, he's not a novice. So I would maybe raise your guesses up a fair amount.
He is a member of the High Performance Committee.
He is, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure he's played internationally for Canada before. I would hazard a guess.
I know his wife, Rita, is in the stands. I think she's down there closer to where Wayne and Alex are standing right now.
Alex is looking to throw in a guard there to disrupt Wayne.
Yeah, they just want to play into that jack, and the jack's going to squirt to the right. Yeah, with a little weight, it just doesn't want to turn.
Yeah, a little weight, it's holding up.
See if he figures it out for his last ball.
I'm not sure if I agree with Saskatchewan shot calling here. Getting a ball off there to the left, I don't really see the jack moving that way. Even if it does, they're only going to be down a couple. I'd be more concerned about on the right-hand side of the jack. If the jack squirts back into the side, they could be down 3.
That's right. Actually, that line would have been perfect if he just had a couple more feet, I think. He would have been into that pile at least. Wayne doesn't like it.
No.
Got a little wide.
Grant's asking Alex to draw it off. That's a tough call. That is not a very big head, and there's not much room for error. Corey Boudreau tuning in, saying go Nova Scotia go, hashtag Nova Scotia proud. Nice to have you with us, Corey. Had the pleasure of meeting him a few weeks ago at the juniors in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
If you are watching the stream, if you have seen it posted on social media, make sure to share it with your friends and family. Let them know that we are streaming the gold medal games. I'm sure those that are into bowls will be more than happy to tune in and watch this event live.
Yeah, I told some of the players before the game, hey, you're going to be on TV. Go tell your friends and family, make sure they tune in, because it's not every day you get to see someone you know rolling bowls on TV.
That's right, especially for a gold medal in the Canadian Championship.
So Saskatchewan picked up 1 there to make it 2-1 after 2.
That's correct.
Big thanks to our partners and sponsors, the Government of Canada through Sport Canada, the Coaching Association of Canada, Kukri, our official clothing supplier, and lawnbowlingmanager.com. If you don't know what that is, then head over to lawnbowlingmanager.com and ask for a free demo. I would strongly recommend it. Looks like Murray's struggling a little bit with his line on that hand. But both the leads are playing the non-ditch side. I can't really say backhand as Murray's a lefty, so it's Murray's forehand, Tom's backhand.
That's right. Good weight from Tom there.
Mm-hmm.
Murray's just looking to tighten his line a little bit. Make sure he's got one in the head. This looks pretty good.
Yeah, this is a much better bowl here from Murray. Ping.
Very nice ball.
Ping,
Very
ping,
nice.
ping.
Well, Alex's sister, Fran Scott, just showed up. She's on this end of the rink.
Yeah, I saw her grab a chair earlier. I thought she was moving down, but I guess she's going to be sitting pretty close to the booth.
I guess we better watch what we say about Alex then.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you give you a quick update? The men's pairs gold medal game after 2 ends is actually 5-0 for Ontario A.
And the fours is 3-0 for Ontario over Alberta in the gold medal match. After 1 end, so I guess Ontario picked up a 3 that first end in the fours. So I'll ask this question again, and we'll probably tell you in a few ends. Question for the first half of the game is, how many years has Wayne Wright been bowling for? Take a stab in the dark, take a guess. Send us a message on Facebook or Twitter. No bad answers here. Ryan Stadnick tuning in to the broadcast. Nice to have you with us, Ryan, all the way down from Niagara Falls. Ryan was actually playing with Wayne last year. Ryan and Chris, the Stadnick brothers, with Wayne in the triples, and they got silver. Although that was the tightest game I've seen in a while. It was Wayne and the Stadnicks against, I believe, Steve Ogden, Terry O'Neill, and Steve Pazanson, if I'm not mistaken, and they were tied up, I think, 17-17 going into the last end, so it was a very, very close game. Could have gone either way.
So we do have a few shout-outs from the players. We were chatting with them a little earlier, and I know Wayne Wright wanted to give a shout-out to his friends and former teammates, Bob North and Don Caswell, as well as the Stadnick brothers. So Ryan, if you're tuning in,
Shout out from Wayne.
Yeah. You're famous.
Yeah, that used to be a real formidable team. I know that Wayne's played with Don and Bob for many years, several years ago.
Wayne's made his way around the Ontario circuit with different teams, but I can definitely tell you that when he becomes a free agent at any time, somebody is right there to pick him up and make him. Obviously, he's been to the Canadians twice, playing in the gold medal twice with 2 different teams, so that says something about Wayne Wright. Flip over to the skip of the Saskatchewan team, Alex Scott. I don't think he's been playing quite as long as Wayne, but this is his actual 20th year playing.
Really?
And he's been to 8 majors, which is incredible for a 20-year span.
That's impressive. That's almost as many as Wayne's been to, and Wayne's got Gonna spoil it a little, more years than Alex of playing the game. By a long shot.
And I know Alex wanted to give a quick shout out to his wife Robin, his parents Liz and Ryan, and his granddad Derek.
Ryan Stadnick knows his stats. He said this is Wainwright's 10th Canadian Championship. That's impressive that you know that. We had to ask Wayne how many times he's been here. So that might help your guess a little bit for how many years Wayne's been bowling. If we can tell you he's been to 10 Canadian Championships, he's been playing for at least 10, I can tell you that. But take a stab in the dark. How many years has Mr. Wright been playing this beautiful game of bowls? Paul and Glenn Accorda said, how long has Wayne been playing? Pretty sure his first bowls were wooden.
Wayne will love to hear that. The long bowls community, very witty and very funny. Bless you.
Well, we got our first guess. Ryan Stadnick saying 50 plus. For how many years Wayne's been playing? You're not wrong, but can you narrow it down to an accurate number?
The Price is Right. You can't go over and under.
Yeah, no. Final answer.
Oh, Wayne just got a little narrow on that one.
Mm-hmm. And look at that go. So I don't know how many that was. 1 or 2?
Until the scoreboard is updated.
Mm-hmm.
That was 2 for Saskatchewan, so it's 3-2 Saskatchewan.
3-2 Sask after 3. Well, we got a guess from Sharon Farish saying, my guess is 48 years. Wayne invented wooden bowls.
Wayne feeling the love.
Just feeling the love here. Corey Boudreaux's asking what's the score of the women's pairs gold medal game. Well, Corey, they haven't started yet. The women's games aren't starting until 10 local time here. It's only, what, 9:20?
That's right.
Yeah, so they don't start for another 40 minutes. Right now the score is 0-0. No score.
That was an easy one. But as soon as they start up, we will try to give you some updates on what's going on there. And as Jake mentioned earlier, once we are done with this game, we will move over to the ladies' game gold medal triples match.
Which I believe is BC and Ontario?
I believe so.
Something like that. Bear with us, that'll be the first time we'll be on the D deck, so hopefully we can make that work. Murray's coming back to the tee. Cam McClellan is saying, sorry, don't know the chap, so I dare not say anything too witty. When was the last eclipse, mind you? Just asking. Good question. Well, based off of all the comments that you've been hearing, he's been around for a while. Quite a while. I can give you a little bit of history. His dad, Wilf Wright, used to bowl. They used to bowl up in my neck of the woods for a few years there, up in District 8 in Ontario. That's Chesley, Hanover, up that way. They used to actually put on the Wright tournament, I think. Him and his dad used to sponsor that.
So we can give you a little more information to maybe narrow your guess. When we asked Wayne what his best bowling memory was, It was his very first gold medal because he won it with his father in the men's fours in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and that was in 1982.
That's right, and I believe they actually played out of my club. I'm going to scroll back to the event champions, and if I'm not mistaken, one of their teammates was named Rick Clemmer, and I used to play with him growing up before he passed on. So 1982 would have been, yeah, Wilf Wright, Rick Clemmer, Brad Fleming, and Wayne Wright. That's a pretty solid team. Yeah, Rick Clemmer used to be sort of my mentor growing up. He would always play lead and have me skip, and he was teaching me what shots to play and why they are good or bad, and huge influence for my game.
Grant trying to tighten up his head a little bit.
This is a bit of a looser end here. Looks like everybody sort of figured out the line as they're all relatively close to the center line, but just the weight's been very, very different.
Yeah. Tom's got the only one locked onto the jack. This actually looks like really good weight from Jim.
Yeah, that's a beautiful shot there. That's 2 for Ontario right now. I guess we'll give away the answer at the end of this end then for how many years Wayne's been playing. So get your guesses in before this end is over. Take a stab in the dark.
So we asked Alex some of the same questions that we asked Wayne, and we asked him who is his biggest bowling influence. Great bowl there from Grant.
Beautiful shot.
And he actually said Jonathan Matuli, who's actually playing on the men's pair side, and he's another young player, which normally you wouldn't hear from one young player to another, that they're the greatest influence. But he says that they grew up battling each other through the younger ranks in Saskatchewan, and then finally decided to join forces. And the quote that he gave is, John Patulli is a winner on the green, and he strives to be and play just like John does and be a winner. So that's nice to see that 2 peers being like that for each other, a good influence. They're both playing for gold, so
yeah,
something worked.
Something in the water out in Saskatchewan. We were having dinner last night with the Bowls Canada president, David Calum, and got to learn a little bit of his backstory. He was originally from somewhere over in the UK. I think it might have been England, I'm not too sure. But when he came over to Canada and was in Edmonton, I believe it was maybe his parents that did a road trip from East Coast to West Coast, and they said of all the cities they stopped in, Regina was the friendliest. And so he's now living in Regina and pretty happy to be there. I don't know how many years he's been there for now. Several.
How long have you been in Regina?
Since '82. There you go. How about the score of the... Oh, great shot there from Al. How about the score of the men's triples? Well, this is the men's triples. Corey.
If you want to know the bronze medal game?
I'm going to say the men's triples is in front of us. It's 3-2 Saskatchewan, but... bronze medal match looks like it's 5-2 Nova Scotia over Ontario.
Oh,
Wayne
getting a fortunate rev. Still down 1 from the way it looked.
You're taking a very close look. It must be close. Now Al has switched his cap backwards. Don't know if that's significant. He's also taking the sunglasses off. I find that really hard to do. If I start a game with shades on, I gotta finish a game with shades on. Currently 5-1 for Ontario over Saskatchewan in the men's pairs.
And men's men's pairs bronze. It's 3-3 after 3 between Alberta and Nova Scotia.
Way further down, 4's bronze. It's 5-1 for
BC.
BC, I believe. Yeah, I think you're right on that. If we forget to give you a score update every now and then, let us know. Send us a message. We'll update you when we can.
Absolutely.
So this is a very tight head for Alex to be playing into. I think he just needs to sort of rest Wayne a little bit. Although he's coming up well short here. He must be confident that he's holding one and is just throwing a guard.
Yeah, Jim's an umpire back home, so is Tom.
Yeah, they're both umpires back in Ontario, so they... yeah, one down, so... So Al Scott is holding one.
Wayne's giving it a look.
Oh, if he wouldn't have got by that. They were down one anyway, had to go for it. Still down one.
Spectacular shots from both skips there. Made that end quite interesting.
So now that the end is in, and there haven't been any more guesses for how long Wayne's been playing for, so we'll release the final answer, which is 55 years. Wayne Wright, been playing for 55 years. That is a very long time. And it was 10 years ago today that he first played in his very first Canadian Lawn Bowling Championship.
35 years ago.
35 years ago, yeah. Sorry, did I say 55? Good grief.
This is his 10th national championships, though. So, yeah.
10th championship, 35 years ago to the day.
Yeah. And that was his best bowling memory in 1982.
Yeah, that would be pretty special to win a gold with your dad, I would have to imagine. Beautiful start there from Murray.
So, Tom Roth, who's delivering his bowl right now. He's originally at a Dresden Lawn Bowling Club. Joined Thamesford in Ontario this year to play with his brother Jim and Wayne Wright. This is actually his second national championship. His first was with his son-in-law Ron and his father Ray, and his brother Jim in the fours.
Yes, I forgot about that team. That's right. That's right. That's a beautiful bowl there from Murray.
And what he said about his favorite memory, he said, it's this one so far. He's in the gold medal match with his brother and longtime friend Wayne Wright, so can't get much better than that.
Really fine line there, and Tom just got inside it. Murray's asking, do I need a yard, or what are you looking for? So I'll just give him a foot of where he wants him. And that looks like that could be in the area, just not quite there. Never mind. Never mind.
Wayne just wants a little more of the same, I think.
Well, it's definitely a better line that Tom's taken here.
Yeah. Even if you can sneak behind, it's an excellent ball.
Yeah, you have to wait a little bit to get behind.
There you go. Wayne approved.
Wayne approved.
And we've got Grant Wilkie up to the mat right now.
Playing with his classics or classic twos, whatever they are.
I think they're classics. Black classics. He's going to the old school bowls.
Oh, we got Rosemary Stadnick on here too. Sorry, I didn't see that message until now. Almost 8 minutes late. She was guessing 53 years, so she was definitely the closest guest.
That's right.
As you said, 55 for Wayne. But hello from Rosemary and Mackenzie. How are you guys doing? Mackenzie's getting up in the world now. Ryan and Rosemary had a beautiful little daughter. Would have been, what, a year ago now? I think she's a year and a half, getting there. A year and a bit. Or I could be way wrong on that. I'm sure they'll correct me if I'm off. Grant's chasing this down.
Really close to that one.
That's a pretty good bowl.
I had the pleasure of playing of coaching Grant when he was in the World Under 25, the World Youth Championship, as I should call it now.
Yep.
Over in Broad Beach, Australia, and spent a couple of weeks with him there. Really nice guy. Really a bowler that really wants to work on his game, and he actually teaches hockey.
Yeah,
goalie coach.
Yeah, goalie coach, that's right.
At Goaltech. I think he's wearing the hat right now. But yeah, we chatted over the week. He's been part of my development squad as I took over for that national coaching position, and I get texts, emails, and he's been coming up to me and chatting with me after most games this week, and just discussing how he did and how he's feeling, and obviously he's in the gold medal match, so he's done pretty well for himself. He's just getting a little wide, but it's probably right about where he wants it.
Jim's asking a question here. How far are those two bowls? So Corey, you're asking, will we be streaming the women's pairs gold medal game? No, we'll be doing women's triples. Since this is the last year for triples, we thought we would give it a final hurrah. Do men's triples, women's triples, gold medal matches. Although the women's pairs would have been a nice grudge match, as we streamed those two battling each other earlier in the week. It was Nova Scotia against Manitoba.
Yeah, it was on this rink, too.
It was on this very rink, that's right. Came down to the final two ends there when Nova Scotia finally pulled away. But no, we thought we'd do triples and give it a last hurrah, as it's the last time we'll be able to stream triples for at least a little while. Let's see what Alex has in store here. Definitely out there.
Yeah, he's kind of watching it down, kind of wondering where he missed.
Yeah, I think he wanted that a little further up the rink. Wayne's playing into it. Got a little contact. He'll be able to see it now from the mat.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, we can see it now.
We can see it, so I would assume he can see it. There you go. Jim's calling for almost the exact same bowl that Wayne just threw. Wayne's saying it's close in the area.
Close. He's got the jack.
He's on the jack.
Hold. Oh, yep. Oh, yep.
No, yeah, no, yeah, yeah,
It's
okay.
great when you hear the cheer and the jack doesn't quite squirt where you thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
Then you hear,
Ah.
So He definitely made the shot there.
You can see Al's pointing out what he's looking at. If I come down here and get that. Each skip has one bowl left. (4-1) for Ontario in the gold medal forest game, playing in number 4. And 6-1 Ontario in the men's pairs, playing number 5. 5-3 for Alberta in the men's bronze pairs, playing 5. 8-1 BC over Ontario, playing 5 in the 4s bronze. And all tied up at 5 in the men's triples bronze. Al's close. Got her. Beautiful shot there from Al Scott. Jim just pointed out where the shot bowl is, what he has to beat. So Wayne has a fair bit of room here to draw in. We'll see if that comes back. I think he's just got a little too much weight on the port there. Grant's using his fingers. 1 for Ontario. Great shot from Al, just unfortunate result.
Gotta give yourself a chance. So that's exactly what he did.
Now, as always, if you want to get in touch with us, send us a message on Facebook or Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Ask us a question, send us a comment, leave some feedback. And as I've been mentioning in almost every other broadcast that we've done so far, the board of directors is looking for some new blood, as there's going to be some vacant positions. Al Scott is currently on the board, and Murray Petulli, there at the other end, is the treasurer currently, but in September there'll be some changes, and we need some new applications. So if you're thinking about volunteering to be on their board of directors, get in touch with Ian Tizer. You can find on our website if you go to bowlscanada.com and then look for Get Involved. Scroll down to Opportunities, I believe it's called. Yeah, Get Involved Opportunities. You'll find job description for being on the board, and then if you're interested, send Ian Tizer a quick note, email or something else to get in touch to say you're interested. Always looking for volunteers, and there's also going to be some committee openings coming up, as we have, I believe, 4 operating committees. So if you're interested in volunteering that way, you can check out the position descriptions on that same webpage. So keep an eye out for openings there coming up soon.
This is going to be an interesting end. As you know, Rink 1 going the opposite direction has been a little tricky this week. We've watched a few games streamed where when you get on the brown patches, which is right up this rink, it starts to speed up a bit. And this jack is kind of right in the middle of a giant brown patch. And as we saw with Murray's first bowl, it actually kept rolling and rolling and rolling as it came to a stop until it fell over. So it can be very, very tricky to gauge the weight and get the right line, because you don't want to be too quick and get past and just keep rolling and rolling and rolling, but you don't want to be taking off too much that you stop on the green stuff in front.
Corey Boudreau's watching it on the big screen, sent us a tweet with a picture of it, so that's kind of neat to see the game from his big TV.
Invite the neighbors, Corey.
Yeah, make it a party. It's probably, what, 1:42 over in Nova Scotia right about now, if I'm not mistaken. Good time for a Saturday afternoon get-together.
There,
Well
Murray finding
played.
his weight.
Jim is well around the back here. As you mentioned with the brown patch there, it's difficult to get your weight just perfect, especially coming this way. I'm wondering if there might be a bit of a speed difference going one way over the other.
It could be. Grant playing an excellent bowl there.
Beauty shot there from Grant.
Jim's not short. He might actually grab the jack.
Not short, looking
Just
for the white on his way through, but just inside. Things are starting to set up here for potential of a big end. If Grant draws another one in here, that could be almost just
That's not
through.
a bad ball.
That's actually a really good spot to be. That helps to stop the trail that Jim was looking for. Gave it a lot more grass here. I'm not sure if that's going to come back.
Yeah.
It's trying, but great weight, just a little too much grass. Jim's hustling down, but Grant's walking back to the mat, so there's no need to hustle.
So we were chatting with Grant as well,
Mhm.
and he plays out of the Nutana Lawn Bowling Club in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And this is actually his 14th year playing, and his 6th majors, which is an impressive run.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Corey. He's saying the streaming's been awesome all week long, but an absolute pleasure to be able to watch live. I'll pass those congrats on to Daryl as well. He's been the biggest help I've had at the juniors and here to help make sure the streaming's working. We've had quite a few technical glitches here and there, but we've powered through them to make this possible for you.
It's not an easy job, and for anybody that thinks that it's just throwing up a couple cameras and shooting away, it's not quite that. So a real big kudos to Jake for doing this, both at the under 25s and under 18s. The majors, he'll be doing it at the singles as well, which is not too far off.
Yeah, that's coming up here pretty soon. September 4 to 9. I'll be off to Winnipeg, Manitoba to bring you some live action there. I've been working with John Bjornsson quite a bit to make sure we have everything that we need for that. He's been a huge help getting everything organized there. I think we have 3 sets of scaffolding, so we'll be able to stream in both directions, which is always good. It'll be different to go from, it was singles at the juniors and under 25s to a team game here and then back to singles again. But singles will be sets, I believe, so that'll be different again. So each event is a little unique, a little different. Grant's giving a quick wave to the camera. He's got his foot down there for where he wants Al to end up. And I think Al's coming up well short on this. And
I think he pre-chalked his bowl.
Yep, pre-chalked his bowl, expecting it to be a toucher, but he's not quite there.
There you go. Jim the umpire saying that's not allowed. Going up and taking the chalk out.
Behind us, the women, well, I guess beside us really, the women are starting their trial bowls. So hopefully parts of this crowd will start to turn around and watch those games as well.
Wayne coming up with a little weight.
Ping. Apparently it's raining in Nova Scotia, so great day to stay in and watch some bowls.
Absolutely.
What else would you rather be doing on a Saturday afternoon? Grant saying that's a better road. Alex is saying it's a hill. Just crashed onto Jim's. Just 3. Yeah, I would have to agree with Jim's shot calling there. That's the shot that I would probably want to play. It's on a more reliable hand, and it's your own coming in.
Can't argue with it, that's for sure.
That's right, I almost forgot about Darrell. Kudos to Darrell. The legend lives on. Oh, great shot from Wayne.
Goal from Wayne there. Darrell, yes.
The legend lives on. We actually we saw a restaurant called Darrell's in Nova Scotia. I'm a little disappointed we didn't get to go to that, but yeah, the long-standing. I wouldn't call it a joke, but a little bit of puts a smile on my face. Back in, I guess it would have been 2014 or was it 2012 that you got your name on one of the NAC trophies and it says Darrell.
That was 2014.
2014 is Darrell. And so now everywhere we go, someone's misspelling Darrell and putting Darrell.
I haven't asked for it to be changed on the trophy. We're going to let that live on in infamy for years and years.
I actually have all those trophies in my office right now, so I can look down and see Darrell Fitzgerald.
There's not many people that can say they've won those trophies, let alone have 2 different spellings of their names. So.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's my stage name.
And your off-the-green name is Gerald now, apparently.
Apparently, yeah. I'm known by many things.
Yeah.
Some I can't say on stream. So.
So Al is looking to stay away from the non-ditch side, playing this ditch hand, as that's Murray coming in.
Yeah.
Only needs a couple rolls on Murray there.
Well, even if he gets a little play on that jack, it's most likely going to score to the left, which is currently Grant's 2 bowls.
But this is a very fine line on this hand. You have to play this almost perfect.
It's not far off.
It's in the ballpark.
He's just going to dive. He just didn't have the weight to hold that line.
Yeah. So 1 for Ontario. We're all tied up at 4. Any early predictions for this game?
I think we're going to get ends like this all the way through. I don't think these teams are going to be giving up more than 2s. It's going to come down to the last 3 ends, I think.
Last 3 ends. All right. Okay. I buy that. Feel free to tweet in or Facebook message your early predictions for who you think will win this game and what the score will be.
There you go. Tom Rose with a beautiful bowl. Speaking about Tom, he wanted to give quick shout-outs to his mom and his dad, Verna and Ray, and his daughter, Erin, who's now Aaron Dory. Craig Dory, another bowler out of Ontario as well. And his daughter, Michelle, is playing here this week.
We got a question here from Cam McClelland from Saskatoon. Him and Eileen are both watching, so glad to have you with us. I believe I met you last year in Edmonton, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, his question is about bowls recertification. He's got a set of classics in excellent shape, which expired in '98. He also has a set of all marks, excellent condition, expired in '05. Can they be recertified? What is the process and costs? So, recertification process. Only bowls manufacturers can actually recertify them, and there are only very specific World Bowls recognized bowls manufacturers. I believe Taylor's, Henselite, Arrow, probably Drake's Pride, and a few others are actually recognized by World Bowls to make legal bowls. So only those. I don't know if I listed all of the manufacturers, but you'd probably have to go on the World Bowls website or figure that out. I'm not sure if Allmark is a World Bowls recognized bowls manufacturer anymore. They might be. I don't know that off the top of my head, but to get them recertified, you'll have to send them to a manufacturer. So if you have a set of classics, I guess you'd have to send it to Henselite. Their manufacturing plant or head office, headquarters, or whatever is probably somewhere over in the UK. You probably have one in Australia too, I would assume. But I know that Chris Stadnick brought his, I don't know if they were Taylor or Henselite when they were over there in Scotland for the Commonwealth Games, got them recertified. So what they do is they test them all, make sure they're still all the same, nothing's changed, they all still follow the same line, they're all still in good condition and whatnot. And if they're good, then they'll restamp them, so they'll be good for another, I don't know if it's 10 years that they restamp them for. So
Yeah.
so as long as they're all still working, still in good condition, and the manufacturers can indeed prove that they're good quality bowls still, then they'll restamp them. Unfortunately, there aren't any manufacturers in North America, so you would have to ship them out to wherever the manufacturer is, which is likely the UK. Ship them out, get them tested, and then they'd ship them back. Fun fact, they also actually polish them up and refurbish them a little bit just to make them look like new again. I know when Chris got his redone, he was a little disappointed that they polished it up and made it look good, because it took out all the scrapes and rubs that gave it a little bit of character. So his bowl looked like new again, and I don't think he was too pleased with that. But happy birthday, Tammy, from Corey Boudreau. Apparently it's Tammy's birthday today. The more you know. Happy birthday, Tammy.
Tammy Foster Vigneault.
Yeah, from
Happy
Nova
birthday.
Scotia. But yeah, so that is the process for recertifying your bowls. You'd have to look into whether Allmark is a recognized manufacturer from World Bowls or not. I'm not sure if they are. They might have been at one point, but I don't know anymore. I haven't seen those bowls for a long time. If they are, then you'd have to send them to the Allmark manufacturer. Definitely not a cheap process. Most people would probably rather just buy a new set of bowls because it's one price and it's done, it's quick. You know what it is. It might almost be a similar price to ship them out to the UK, get them recertified, and then shipped back. I'm not sure what the cost is to get them recertified. You'd have to check in with the distributor, but you could probably figure out what it will cost to ship them overseas and back.
Good question, though.
Yeah,
I'm not sure many people know about
excellent question.
recertification.
Yeah. Now, really, recertification is only important when you play internationally, as I believe our conditions of play say that it just has to have a legible stamp on it. I don't know if it actually has a specific year.
That's correct. And I know Canada, it might not be the reason, but one of the reasons is we don't have a certified bowls manufacturer here that can easily recertify bowls in Canada or even really North America anymore. So it makes it extremely difficult. So as long as they were stamped, that they were good, and there's no real identifying marks or changes in the bowls, then you should be fine.
Yeah, that's the thing. If we can tell that you've tampered with it, then obviously that's not going to be okay. But if it looks like nothing's been tampered with, then they should be good to go, as long as there's a legible stamp on there still. But if you do plan on playing internationally, then yes, the stamp has to be current year or newer. In that sense, so it would have to be for this year 2017 or later, so 18, 19, 2020, what have you.
Yep.
But really that's just for international play. If you're only playing in Canada, then really just any stamp should do.
Oh, as we've been speaking, the
Crowds are
fans are just rolling in.
Everybody had a bit of a sleep in, and now they're coming in to check out the action.
Having a quick discussion down here on what shot to play, what they think Wayne is going to play on his bowls down. So a little fun fact about Tom Rose, as we were talking about him a little earlier. Tom has been playing for 20-ish years, he said. I don't know if he wanted to really give it away, but the fun fact is that his daughters, Erin and Michelle, actually started before him, so they have more experience.
Yeah, that's a fun fact. Looks like either Sarah or Anna are live tweeting the scores. So I can see someone just retweeted our tweet that men's triples 9-2 Ontario B over BCA in the bronze. And I think they got that backwards. It's actually BCA that is up 9-2.
But make sure you're following at BCB Bulls on Twitter if you want some up-to-date scores. Maybe a little quicker than we'll give it to you. But it's always good to follow them. You'll get all the news, all the stuff that's going on with Bulls in Canada.
In the bronze men's pairs, it's 6-3 Alberta over Nova Scotia. And Wayne's playing a little bit of weight here. Just through the head. In the men's fours next door, it's 5-3 Ontario over Alberta. And 7-2 Ontario over Saskatchewan in the men's pairs gold. And I can't quite see the other score. Actually, that must have been an old tweet. They were looking at the wrong score, but that's actually men's fours. That's 9-2 for BC over Ontario. Men's fours. Bit of a wrong scoreboard, but easy to mistake as Ontario is also beside them, playing against Nova Scotia in the bronze. And they're all tied up at 6-6 after 6 in that men's triples bronze.
I was just asking Murray what he likes. Just wants him to play his backhand. Nice draw into the head.
Katie Patino watching the last stream of the finals from work on her lunch break. That's a good way to split up the day at work.
Why not?
Watch some bowls. Al's chasing this down. Outside rub, almost in.
One, two, three.
He's down there talking to Keith now, the Saskatchewan team manager.
Saskatchewan with a couple fortunate rubs and in.
Mm-hmm. So was that 3 then? Wait
3
for
or 4.
Wait for the flipper to update us on the score.
Yeah, that's an 8, so that's a 4.
That's a big end, first big one of the game.
Yep.
Love to see that they've got the center lines marked with that, I don't know, it's black. I think it's titanium oxide, but it could be something else, some other material. But yeah, you've got a black strip down the middle of the rink so you can center the jack real quick without having to ask this way or that way. It speeds up the game quite a bit. It's a good opening goal there from Murray.
Tom coming down the other side. Don't think he's going to make it.
Question from John Tupper. Concerning the verification of bowls at majors, as long as you can see the markings but not modified, just painted bowls seen as modified. So if you paint your bowls, is that a modification? That is a good question. You would need to ask one of the umpires. Probably the National Officiating Committee would be the best bet there. So send us an email and we'll get in touch with the Officiating Committee to clarify that. But my guess would be that as long as all the bowls are painted the same, so that they are still identical. Obviously, you can't be painting one bowl blue and have the other three red, as that's, a different bowl. But if the paintings are identical, I believe that would not be seen as a modification. And as long as the painting is reasonable, I guess you can't really just pour a gallon of paint on it and make your bowl 10 times wider or thicker than it usually is. But that's just my guess. I would need to ask a member of the officiating committee to clarify that.
You're actually correct. Last year at the Nationals, I was team manager for the Ontario team, and we had a couple bowls rejected because they did have some of the dimples on the grips painted.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, over time and wear, one of the dimples paint had chipped out, and they weren't actually identical. So we either had to paint that dot to make them all identical, or find a way to get all the paint off of the dimples to make them identical again. So you just have to be careful with what you do with painting your bowls, because they still have to be an identical set with no individual markings to tell bowls apart.
Mm-hmm. Now you can see George Cubis there on rink 6 doing a jack measure. I believe that's Francis is standing on the one end of the measure to see if it's in. They have had a very unique way of doing that. I think they had a screwdriver that they stuck it in, and one person can just walk down while the tip is stuck in the ground. Jim's just knocking Tom over on his way through. I'm loving these questions though about rules, conditions of play, and what have you. That's good stuff. I'm happy to try to clarify if we have an answer, and if not, then either you can clarify or send us an email so we don't forget, so we can ask someone and get you a proper answer. Grant's playing big here.
Yeah. Has some excellent bowls so far. David James Smith from Quebec, giving a quick shout out to Grant there. It's okay, we do not have larger birds attacking the greens here. That's just him.
Not yet though. There have been a few Canadian geese flying overhead, so you have to sort of duck for cover. Classy respect there from Wayne. He went up and chalked Grant's bowl. That's a real class act move to go and chalk your opponent's bowl, because Al didn't and he didn't declare it. So good to see some sportsmanship going on there.
While Grant's getting ready to play his last bowl, we got a few shout-outs from him. His mom, Anique. I've actually met Anique. She came out to Australia to watch Grant bowl. And she should be watching this morning from home. And also to his girlfriend, Chloe, who is here cheering him on in person.
Oh, Grant, what a beautiful bowl. I think they can feel a little bit of momentum coming their way after they picked up that 4 last end. They're really... The Saskatchewan crew is really feeling in the groove here. And Jim just split Tom back a little bit. I think Wayne was hoping he'd come over across. This is a tough spot to be in for Wayne, because if you hit Grant's bowl, Jack's popping to the side, and Grant's second bowl is just back there waiting for it. So you either need to hit it hard enough that it goes well past that, or even harder to try to kill it, I think.
You can also plan ahead. If Wayne can make the first shot and just nudge it off to loosen the jack, he can make a second shot with the exact same bowl to improve the head. So
absolutely. Yeah, he definitely has to be careful as there's only one red bowl there, Tom's, in the head, and it looks like Saskatchewan has a couple there, so you don't want to lose. But that could be second or third shot. I'm not sure if Tom's in there for second or third.
Sometimes what bowlers have to learn is sometimes the head gets a little worse before it gets better. So you make a shot, head may look a little worse, or you may be down a few more points. But the ultimate goal is to get that advantage so you can actually make the correct shot to get the point or really cut it down. So.
Yeah, Al's just looking for some position here, and that's a pretty good spot to be.
It is, yeah.
Really tough situation here for Wayne. Saskatchewan's putting some pressure on.
And he's not far off.
Oh, he's very close here. That's a great shot. That's a very great shot.
Playing a little pool.
Yeah. Taking a look at that, I think Saskatchewan might just be holding one right now, but Grant's going to use his fingers just to see if they even have one. Jim's two back there might actually be closer. It's pretty close, says Grant. So that could be a measure for shot right now. That's excellent result there for Wayne. Grant's favoring them for one.
Oh, it's funny because Grant just said you could play either hand and both will draw. And then he pointed to the ditch side and said it should come down. And Al just kind of stood on the mat and said it should come down. Have you been watching that thing?
I think Al is playing through a few ports here.
Yeah, he just wants to be in there.
And that might have pushed in Grant. Not quite enough, I don't think.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Wayne play down that same side because I think that front black is possibly the shot anyway.
Yeah, and you can just come down to reach it, maybe flop inside of it. It's very close. None of the guys can easily say who shot over the other.
Jim just wants him in the area.
Out and around. He can crash on Jim to bring him in as well.
That's not going to come back.
That's not coming back, I don't think.
Oh?
Not enough anyway.
Not totally, but
his weight's great. Just a foot past. Grant's saying the same thing. And that would work. He just needs to roll Grant over once to secure a shot. So Grant's openly declaring that is the shot bowl that Saskatchewan's line won.
It's a bold prediction.
That is a bold prediction, but I guess he's trusting his eyes. And Al is just coming up a little bit short. Needed another couple feet on that.
Wayne is close to drawing shot. And he might have just done it.
Maybe. And there is quite the crowd as the women's games have started on the deck beside us. Huge crowd watching them as well. This is great to see. So that was one for Wayner there. Great shot there to try to curb the momentum. And 8, we are halfway done here now, and it's 8-5. This is a very tight game still. So you can see Ontario stretching things out here a little bit as the jack is further back. Tom is just hanging outside.
May be useful later on.
Might need to play around with where we have the scoreboard here just so it's not getting in the way.
So Murray Petulli is just playing his lead bowl here. Murray started playing in 1988, so this is his 30th year.
Oh, wow.
He has been to 16 to 17 national championships, including mixed pairs.
Oh, beautiful shot there.
And he is also heading to Peterborough, Ontario, later this year, or well, I guess later this month actually, for the senior triples.
Yeah, that's actually, he'll have to go almost straight there from here. By the time he gets back, he'll only be back for a few days. The seniors' bowl and shoe inspection and arrival day is August 24th, so that's very, very soon. He'll be off to Peterborough not long after this. Oh, Murray.
That's unfortunate. Nailed that jack flush, but dragged it right back to Tom's bowls. So now Tom needs to make a similar shot to what he has been making.
I'm glad to see that Tom wasn't afraid of it, or sorry, Murray wasn't afraid of it there, though. You don't want to be coming up short and shy because you played a good bowl. Shows that he's got some confidence, that he's willing to play up into it and not be afraid of it.
That's right. Yeah.
That's a good effort there from Tom.
Yeah.
Alex is calling for just underneath.
So for Murray, his influences are former national singles champion Gene Black. Gene is also in the Saskatchewan Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow.
And Murray still uses and adheres to her message of you win more from your losses than your wins.
Murray. Putting on a show. Don't know if you heard Grant, but he just said, and he totally redeems himself after pinning it on, giving it away, and then getting it back. Murray is feeling it.
And Jim's not far off.
Jim's pretty close.
Oh, wow.
What a display of bowling we got going on here, and it's nice to see the players are giving each other five. Quick high five, even if you're on the opposite team, recognizing, hey, that's a good shot, well played.
Well, this is exactly what you want to see in a gold medal. You want to see shots made, difficult shots made, and strategy coming into play. This is some excellent play from both teams, full teams.
Mm-hmm. Grant's not far away here. What a beautiful shot there from Grant Wilkie.
Got Grant trying to make a similar shot to his last. Got a little wider. It's going to crash on Murray's front ball, and he takes off to beat his well down to the end. Jim just wants to play into that shot, so he's trying to get a little wider on that hand. He got one out, so he might be just one down.
Happy to see that the players have figured this rink out, as there's some great shots by both players being made. It's great to see that they're peaking here in the gold medal match, and both sides are making great shots.
Grant's just getting wide again. Could be a nuisance bowl there.
I'm not sure if that was Wayne saying that, but I heard someone saying, no, 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 no. I think that bull might have just got in the way. Wayne could have been playing up through that, but now that's sitting in front. Likely can't see the bull anymore. Got a comment from William G. Pearson saying, great to watch the live action by all these remarkable Sun City, Arizona residents who unfortunately need to go back to Canada for the summer months. Go Lyle, Tom, Jim, Steve, Leo, and whoever else I missed. The greens up here are actually pretty good given that we have, 5-6 months of winter. In Arizona you definitely don't have that, so you can keep the greens running nice all year round. But, well, here's Wayne coming down. He could be in the area.
You got the one out of the way.
Opened it up a little bit more. Yeah, a lot of these players do head down to Arizona for the summer, and the greens down there are pretty excellent. I've played on several of those Arizona greens myself, and they're quick and nice to play on. They're pretty great.
Pretty neat.
Pretty neat. That's right. That's right. But no, the greens up here aren't too terrible either. I know the greenskeepers have been putting in a lot of work, and I don't know how many clubs in Arizona, if any, have 4 decks. As Juan DeFuca here is 4 decks, and it's a lot of work for the greenskeepers, I'm sure.
Alex Scott taking a long look at this as he walks back, visualizing his shot, I'm sure, how he's going to get in there.
You can see Grant calling what he wants. A little adventurous out there. I'm not sure if that's coming back.
You can hear some of the cheering and clapping. The men's fours game, Ontario and Alberta, they're playing right next to the ditch, and there's been a couple fabulous shots to push the jack further and further back. So they're probably less than an inch where the jack is sitting on the ditch. So it's probably going to come down to who can clip it and sit on it first. As the cheers are for that, we've got an excellent end brewing here. Wayne nailed it. And out of bounds. We will reset, as some of you may know, some of you may not. When the jack exits the playing rink on either side, there's 2 boundaries, or exits out the back, say over the ditch board. So out of the playing surface, it is declared dead, and the end will be replayed. Now the trick is, can these players duplicate what they just did? Tom just getting a little deep on this first bowl. As you were saying, we were talking to some of the players earlier, and the vice for the Ontario triples team, Jim Roth. He's playing at a Thamesford Lawn Bowling Club. This is his 5th national championships. Jim's father, who's also obviously Tom's father, Ray, has been a significant influence in his life, along with his teammate Wayne Wright. Obviously, Wayne's been around for quite some time, and Jim and him are quite good friends. And his favorite memory is his first time that he qualified for mixed pairs at the Canadian Championships with his wife Sue. That's definitely a special moment when you can share that kind of experience together. And he wanted to give a quick shout out to his mom and dad, Verna and Ray.
In case anyone's curious, it's 2-2 after 2 in the women's triples on the gold medal match there that we'll be picking up later.
I can give you a quick update of some of the scores around here. The men's fours, we're hearing all these cheers from because they're playing so close to the ditch. Ontario A5, Alberta A7 after 7 ends. The men's pairs, Ontario A is up 13 to Saskatchewan A2 after 9 ends. We've got the men's pairs bronze match. Alberta A is up 10 to 5 over Nova Scotia after 8 ends. We have the men's triples bronze, which has played 8 ends and is currently Ontario B or Ontario A 11 and Nova Scotia 6.
Mm-hmm.
I can't quite see the very last, which is the men's fours bronze.
It is, I think, 14-4 for BC.
That's it.
Playing number 11.
Grant very close with this ball.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great
Very
shot.
nice.
So John Tupper's coming in on Twitter. Were you talking about shot spotters here a little earlier?
I wasn't, no.
No?
But
Okay. Well, he's
it's a segue.
He's talking about it now, about the BCB shot spotter at a major as a BCB decision. Will they be permitted at the international scene, and how is the BCB decision made? That's a great question I don't really know the answer to. My guess would be that any sort of decision would be about how it's going to impact the game and whether or not it'll slow down the game. I know you're not allowed to use anything that'll actually be on the green to measure until the end is completed, so you can't actually get down and measure a shot midway through an end. But a shot spotter is something you hold in your hand that you're not actually getting down on the green or doing anything. It's actually quicker than using your fingers, which you see a lot of players do. They use their fingers. I do remember there was a little bit of dispute about the rules for using an artificial device or something like that. I don't really remember, but it is legal for use in Canada, and I'm not sure if it would be usable on the international scene or not. Based off the rules, I think that it would be. But again, I've never seen it actually used internationally, so I don't know if it would or would not be. Great question, though.
Wainwright just slipping by, almost had it. That is an excellent question. Definitely something to look up in the international rules and World Bowls rules.
Yeah, so the rule book is pretty consistent across the board, but the conditions of play vary for each event. I don't believe that the conditions of play would specifically deal with the shot spotter. I believe that would just be something you'd find in the rule book. So if the rules say it's okay for one event, it should be good for all. Knowledge just sliding by. Keep those questions coming on Facebook and Twitter, though. It's great to start the discussion and get some clarification if we can. Unfortunately, I might not have all the answers that you're looking for. Got a watcher from PEI. Margie Cameron. Keep us posted on other scores. Sister of Lena and great aunt of Cameron, the friends. So we'll do our best to keep you updated on scores. Actually, the way we're positioned here right now, it's actually very difficult for us to see the scoreboards on the women's rink. There's so many spectators between here and there.
Yeah, the crowd is actually 3 deep between the two rinks, so making it very, very difficult at our level to see what's going on. But we will try our best.
Got a great quote post here on Facebook from Cam McClelland. Just follow-up questions to the bowls recertification. Apparently Cam's a relatively new bowler, 3 years, so that's great to see that you're getting heavily involved. Oh, Alex just sliding by. I was looking for the jack on his way through. Can't get much closer than that, so that's 1 for Ontario to make it 8-6. Bear with me while I update the scoreboard before I get into Cam's post, as it has a couple of pretty good questions. So it's 8-6 after 9. So Cam was talking about how he has a set of classics and Allmarks, and the Allmarks were purchased from a chap that has retired, and those bowls came into the head on weird angles, caused much grief when played against him, and I never wanted to see them used against me again. Allmarks do tend to have different lines, as it's a different manufacturer. It's not a Taylor or Henselite or Arrow or one of the more common brands. I believe they're a little bit wider, if I'm not mistaken, for the most part, from the Allmarks that I've seen anyway. There's, I believe, different types of Allmarks. However, I think it has more to do with the skill of the player. They're both great practice bowls, use them in games sometimes. Just got to figure out which the best green conditions are for each. Him and his wife Eileen use aces regularly. Any particular brand finding more use out there? That's interesting question. Probably the 2 most popular bowls manufacturers are Taylor and Henselite, at least in Canada anyway. I know Arrow is making a big push to try to take top spot, but traditionally Henselite and Taylor tend to be the 2 major, and there are a whole whackload of different models that each of those manufacturers distribute. Taylor has, Aces, Spectrums, Internationals. Henselite has Classics, Tigers, Tiger 2, what have you. So I haven't gone through the list of bowls to see what everybody's playing with. When the umpires have bowl and shoe registration, they write down what type of bowl you have. I didn't actually go through that list to see what everybody's playing with. It's almost always usually pretty evenly distributed between Henselite and Taylor, though, so then after that it's just whether players like to play with more swingy bowls or more narrow bowls. Some players do bring multiple sets with them just to try them out, but for the most part people will just bring 1. I've even had some people ask me, can we just bring the number of bowls that we're playing with? So if you're playing in 4s, you only use 2 bowls. Can I just bring 2 bowls? Do I even need to bring my whole set? And I had to ask George Cubas, head umpire, if that was okay, and he said, yeah, that's fine. If you're only playing with 2, then just bring 2. So yeah, some people who do have multiple sets will bring both and try them out. Some have a wider line or a more narrow line and figure out which ones they like better. But for the most part, I would think majority of bowlers here only brought 1 set with them, and that way they're not left with second guessing, and they just use 1 set and have to figure it out for the whole week. So it allows you to be a little more consistent rather than switching back and forth or humming and hawing and guessing about which set to use. I don't think I've seen anybody switching bowls from game to game, but I haven't actually been following people around enough to say that for certain or not. Have you seen anybody switching from game to game their sets of bowls?
Not once it got into the meat of the competition. Early on in the competition, I did see at least one. I wasn't sure if it was two. I know John Bjornsson on Manitoba triples. I believe he was playing with Dreamlines. They were a white bowl, and then when I came back to watch them in the third game or fourth game for a little bit, he was actually using red bowls. So I believe they're aces, but I could be wrong. But he was the only one that I actually knew he had switch bowls.
My personal opinion is very rarely in Canada would you need to bring out a second set of bowls. The only real need, in my opinion, is if the greens are so fast that your wide drawing bowls are now too wide. But in Canada, for the most part, the pace is usually somewhere between 10-11 and 13-14 on average. There are obviously exceptions to that, but for the most part, you can get by with the same type of bowl on 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 if you know how to play them right. But once you get up into 15, 16, 17 seconds, that's when you really need to find a narrower drawing bowl, because the green is just so fast that if you have a wide drawing bowl, it then becomes too wide to use. So for the most part in Canada, I don't really see the need to bring multiple sets or try different sets. That's just my personal opinion, though. I know some people like even just slight variations, or if the green has some runs, then they'll try a different set that'll avoid those runs, or will use those runs depending on where you're playing.
You're right. I know there are some players. I know Steve McCarahan from Ontario is one of them that will play around with a couple sets of bowls, especially during practice rounds when he can throw a whole bunch of bowls and see how they react. And then it's usually a choice between a mid-bias bowl and a wide bowl on most greens in Canada. Sometimes the wider swinging bowls will just help you get over those little runs and ridges, and may play a little smoother on certain speeds than a mid-bias, but the mid will usually be the go-to for most players. Something like a Taylor Ace or a Hensley Tiger, Taylor International, those kind of bowls. Arrow Groove, I guess, and would be one of those.
So, sorry, just looking to my right, I can see a Quebec gentleman is wearing one of those awesome bowling shirts. They didn't wear them during the competition, they only wear them when they're not playing, and I'm not sure why that is, but the Quebec shirts just look absolutely wonderful.
I think, I don't know if they're official Quebec shirts.
Okay.
So they were wearing their official Quebec shirts during the competition. Those ones are probably shirts that they wear within the province, but are not actually their official,
Gotcha.
quote-unquote, provincial bowls wear.
Also got a comment further to the shot spotter here from John Tupper on Twitter. One can't put a foot on the green between the bowl and jack to see the shot. So is a shot spotter like using your foot but not on the green? Kind of. So a shot spotter has a whole bunch of rings and lines on it. The best way I can describe it is it's a small piece of plastic that you pull out of your pocket, hold about waist high, and put over top of the jack, waist high, and look down through it. And with all the rings on it, you can tell which bowls are shot or not, because if they're inside the rings or outside the rings, sort of like curling. So it's very quick. You just take it out, stand near the jack, look down through it, and you can tell right away this bowl's inside the ring, this bowl's outside the ring. So it's very nifty, very quick. Takes half a second to use. Johanna Quartel asking, where can I find men's triples updates? Well, that's the feature rink here. I'm not sure if you're listening to the broadcast or not, if you're on Twitter, but if I could see the scoreboard for the bronze medal match, I would tell you, but I can't quite see the scoreboard. I can see that... there we go, Scott moved to the side. It's 11-9 for Ontario in the bronze men's triples.
I think these guys may know they're on TV, huh? They're making some fantastic shots out there. Good conversions. I think Wayne's just looking to sit on top of that red bull. If he's through the head, he could chip it right back to Tom's 3 bulls back there. Depending on how he plays this shot, it could be a big swing.
Mm-hmm.
He's narrow and heavy, and that's what he wants. Just catching the edge of that front bull.
Needed it square. Well, the question here is how the green's running. What's the green speed? Yesterday we clocked it at around 12 or so, I think.
I think that was right.
So we'll see if they've picked up any pace here today or if they've still got some drying out to do.
We'll try to give you an unofficial time.
I've heard from the players that they find it a little easier in the morning because they haven't dried out. They're not as quick. They get to be a little squirrely, some of the rinks, in the afternoon when they've really dried out and picked up pace. Al just needed another 2 feet on that. Definitely one Saskatchewan. Not sure if there's more than that. 2? Yeah, 2.
2 Saskatchewan.
10-6. So we'll give you an update on green speed here in a minute, at least for this deck. Daryl's got his phone out ready to start timing, but again, that is really dependent on if they're actually throwing a accurate jack. It has to be, what, 90 feet to be timed? I'm not too sure.
Usually,
on the exact
yeah,
number, something like that.
That's what I'm saying. It's unofficial.
Very unofficial here. Is that?
Tried to catch Murray and tell him you must throw a T-to-T jack, but I don't know if he listened.
Please throw a perfect jack that is exactly 90 feet and then draw exactly to that so we can time the bull.
It's not a huge ask, I don't think. Come on.
So I can see as Murray's placed the mat there, he's got the back of the mat just on the tee. So, fun fact that a lot of players at the club level don't know is that it has to be 2 meters from the front of the mat. So he could actually pull that almost a full mat length back and still be a legal mat. A lot of people think that it's the back of the mat that has to be 2 meters from the ditch, and no, it's the front of the mat. Hoo-wee, we just got a novel and a half from Andy Caldwell. Bear with me while I read through all of this. Great stuff there. Andy's just appreciative of the quick shout-out that Peterborough Lawn Club's hosting the Canadian Senior Triples August 24 to August 30th, and Andy looks after the greens there and I have to say, he does a fantastic job. Peterborough has one of the best, if not the best, greens in Ontario. They're definitely up there, and they're always up there year in and year out, so I know Andy spends countless hours working on the greens to make them great, and they'll be excellent again. So big thanks, Andy, for putting in all that time in to do the greens. I know it's no easy task. There's 2 decks at Peterborough, and the club's looking forward to hosting it again. It's the second time they've hosted the Canadian Seniors, and just wanted to remind people, if you're in the area in Ontario between August 24 and August 30th, go on down to the Peterborough Lawn Bowling Club. They have a beautiful facility. Their clubhouse is magnificent. They've got a computer lab, elevator, huge meeting room, massive kitchen and bar. It's ginormous. They share it with another organization in the community, but it's absolutely wonderful. The greens are great. So if you're in the Peterborough area, August 24 to 30, go on down and check it out. It's sure to be a great event.
So we can tell you that the green speed is probably getting up into the 13-second area.
Picking up pace based off of this.
Yeah.
Unofficially.
Unofficial, yeah.
Well, that is one thing that is very difficult for us to manage is green speed or green quality for hosting championships. I know personally, since I've been to Peterborough many times, that their greens are great. But when I work with a lot of host organizers, a lot of times there's personal bias about how good or bad the greens are. So quite often I'll try to find an impartial third party to go check out the greens, and that might be someone from the provincial association, that might be someone from a committee that I work with to go and check it out. But it is difficult to look after greens and make them absolutely top-notch quality, especially in such a short time frame. As in some provinces you can't even get on your greens until May, maybe even June, and then to try to get them up to par by August is no easy task, and that's why we're only asking that greens are at least 12 seconds, because sometimes there's just not enough time to make them better.
It shouldn't be too hard an ask for someone trying to host a Canadian Championship. I mean, this is the premier event. This is what we want to see.
Great shot there from Grant. And it takes a lot of work too. A lot of clubs, it's only a one-person greens maintenance, and it really should be, a full committee doing that, as it's a lot of work to ask one person to do it all. Cam LaFriend saying, loving your voices again. Cam, you've got an awful lot of free time if you're tuning in here again. So now it's time to make fun of Cam LaFriend, the reigning under-25 men's champion. He'll be off to the Gold Coast in February, playing the World Youth Championships along with Kara Webster, the women's Canadian champion.
Glad that Cameron LaFriend could tune in to watch this.
Looking over at Rink 5, the men's pairs is a one-sided affair. 19-2 for Ontario over Saskatchewan.
That's definitely unexpected.
I definitely would not have expected that. I thought that would be a close game. And over on Rink 3, it's 11-9 for Ontario over Nova Scotia in the bronze triples. Further on down the line, BC's up 21-4 in the bronze fours. These are all the men's games that I'm talking about. So it's on this deck that I can see easily. 11-6 Alberta over Nova Scotia, men's pairs, bronze. And I can't quite see the scoreboard next door. There's too many people standing in front of the scoreboard.
Good old fours.
Always in the way. Grant likes that as he's clapping, saying good bowl. I can see on Rink 5 on the D deck it's 9-1 for BC over, I believe that's Ontario, and I'm not sure if that's women's pairs maybe.
We're throwing a little weight at it, just getting a little narrow.
I read your mind there, Cam. He was asking for the men's pair scores, and I just updated it before I read the message.
Cam, I brought some Twizzlers. You're not here.
Yeah, darn.
I had to eat them all myself.
Unfortunately, I didn't replicate the beautiful photo of you and Luke.
Yeah, we passed on that.
Yeah, Lady in the Tramp style. So it looks like it might be 9-6 Alberta over Ontario next door in the men's fours gold medal match.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
I think Alex is coming up just a little short there, crashing in front.
Weighing down to his last ball. Wants to get a little action in this head, I think.
Yeah, Hyperactive just liked one of our tweets. If you don't know who Hyperactive is, they're the company we worked with to produce those excellent videos that we came out with this year. Great group of guys. If you're looking at maybe getting some videos, I'd strongly recommend them.
There's 3, maybe 4. Well, that's a 5-ender. It's a big swing end for Saskatchewan. It's 15-10. Sorry, 15-6 for Saskatchewan over Ontario. Tom with a pretty good bowl here, just sliding a little narrow on that inside hand.
Mm-hmm.
Murray coming up short on his last bowl. Switching hands on his last. Hoping to get one tight to the jack.
That's an interesting choice. To switch hands on your last bowl.
It's alright. It might work out here for him.
Yeah, it might almost work there. Just sailing through.
Right between the two bowls. His best memory was winning gold in 2011 in Willowdale in men's fours with two boys, Michael and Jonathan Batuli, and also another member of his team, Grant Wilkie. Murray was pleased to be sort of the honorary grandpa to the whole team because they were all fairly young.
Great shot there from Jim. I believe that was the year where they leapfrogged up to the podium. And Murray just walked along while the three youngsters were playing leapfrog to get up there. And Grant just crashed on his front and rolled in for one. Couldn't have asked for much better for a week here out at the Wanda Fuca Lawn Bowling Club in Victoria, BC. Weather's been very cooperative the entire week. We cut one broadcast short due to a few slight sprinkles of rain, but it blew over so quick that by the time we finished packing up, it had stopped. Grant's chasing this down. I think he likes it. It's trying hard, just by.
Not a bad spot though.
Yeah, that's a good place to be. Quick handshake there from Alda Grant. Jim almost has an all-arm delivery. Might Might be a little bit of overlap in timing between taking the step and the arm swing, but it looks similar to a lot of the other deliveries we've seen this week, where they step first and then back swing and forward.
Yeah. I'm sure Wayne is just looking to squeak onto the scoreboard, get a +1 here at least, and start getting some momentum to claw their way back into this game.
I will say that Murray and Grant have been playing very well and putting pressure on. So it's been no easy task for the Ontario lads.
Yeah, absolutely. That was just coming up short.
Yeah, coming up well short there. What's made this really difficult is that it seems like almost every time I'm looking at the head, whether or not Sask has shot or not, they've got some really good position, and that just leaves Wayne in a really tricky spot. Because if you don't have great position, then it's almost 2-point shots where you have to do something like that, I guess would work.
That'll work.
I don't think he was wishing to kill it there. Could be dead.
I don't think it mattered at that point. Just change the head. If you kill it, you kill it.
Well, Jack in the ditch would have been good for 2 or 3. Bring the heat, Wayne, says Cam. And he definitely brought some weight. Definitely don't know if I'd call that heat, but he threw Wayne weight.
Yeah, Wayne doesn't usually go all out
No.
and send a screecher down the greens, but he does play enough weight to make the shot. He's perfected that over the 55 years that he's been playing.
Nice controlled weight.
Yeah.
Trying to remember the name of the girl that I was practicing with in Australia. I think her name was Maria Rigby, or something like that. But she had us practicing some drills that was sort of like the weight that Wayne just threw there, very controlled weight of trailing the jack from the hog line into the ditch. And after 45 minutes of practicing that, you get really, really good at it down in Australia on just about perfect greens. Very frustrating way to play, but very useful to master that skill if you can trail the jack to the ditch when it's so far up by playing nice controlled weight. It's a great opening bowl there from Murray.
Just crawling up to the jack.
You asked us that question earlier in the week, what's your ideal first bowl for a lead? That was one of the answers, is just, 6 inches in front.
Yeah.
And Tom's a couple feet through, but directly behind the jack. That's a really good spot to be as well.
That is an excellent spot.
These players seem to have really found their line, as both bowls are almost exactly on the center line.
Tom's switching hands. It's not generally recommended for these to switch hands. He found the center line on his first. He could easily do it on the second, but Tom played an excellent bowl.
Excellent bowl there.
Switching hands. So what do I know?
Cam's chiming in, saying he always likes a back resting toucher for a first bowl. There's a lot of different opinion depending on who you ask, whether you want it in front or behind and where you want it. We had one comment from, I think it was John Tupper, said he wants it within 2 feet, but in your opponent's line.
Okay.
Or something like that.
So with all those interesting answers, especially the really, really precise ones, like front resting toucher, back resting toucher, keeping that in mind, that's the kind of shot that you're hoping for, what would you set as your expectation for your lead? Are you going to tell him, I want your bowl right here as a resting toucher, or what would you tell him, or him or her, as far as what kind of bowl that they should be aiming for? throw that out to the World Wide Webs.
The WWW. Oh, Grant.
Fantastic throw there.
And Wayne saying, spank it. Spank it. Jim is throwing some weight.
Not far off, wow.
Just missed, but
Just underneath and just through. That's unbelievable.
he got Murray's back bowl out and drew down almost to the tee there on the follow through. So now Grant's asking, what do you want? Same bowl. Same bowl, bud. I'm not sure what the question was there. Grant stopped and looked back and talked to Murray for a second. Not too sure what they were talking about.
It's teamwork. I think he might have wanted to make sure what he was doing. Maybe he had a question about maybe another shot.
Just coming up inside. That's not a terrible place. Wayne was saying there's no draw shot for your bowl there, so I guess Jim's bowls aren't coming back quite as much as Grant's were. That could be close.
That's real close.
Oh, just inside. Jim's not missing by much here.
No. Really all he wants is contact on something. Like Tom's bowl, shooting across that head. If he had caught the edge of it, it would have shot right into that. And given him some kind of a result. Pounding on the front two, that's going to give him a result. He's just missing.
I think getting Grant's, whether you get it square or you get the split with Tom, will push Murray right into the jack, I believe, and then that'll crash on Grant's back and pop out to the side. So the kill, I think, is definitely an option there for the Ontario guys. And for Saskatchewan, I'm not sure how you're going to protect against that, whether you're going to get back bowls. I don't see it coming straight back, but I would almost be tempted to put one to the side to try to keep it in play, maybe.
Yeah, you want it deeper into the side. You don't want to give him a wing bowl to glance off of, because he didn't miss by much, and if you give him something to use, that's just bad news for you. So Grant just playing a back bowl, something safe.
Al was asking for something to split Jim and Tom, and look at that, just keep coming and coming. That almost went out.
The brown.
That almost went out. Just playing a little more controlled weight here,
yeah.
And still just inside. This is a tricky situation here for Wayne. I think the count is 2 Saskatchewan, maybe 3. It might even be possible that you could end up doubling or tripling Tom's bowls out if you end up getting Tom square straight back onto his second bowl and shooting across to the third. It is definitely an option to triple himself out.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to be very careful with playing weight into that.
Yeah. Alex is just looking at what's the possibility if there is a little weight, not necessarily pounding it up.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you, Dave Anderson, for giving us some updates on the women's scores. We have, I believe that's the gold women's triples, Ontario 5, BCB, I think that's a 5. Women's fours, Manitoba 4, BC 6. Sorry, women's triples, it's Ontario 5, BC 3. Women's fours, Manitoba 4, BC 6. Women's pairs, Manitoba 11, Nova Scotia 1. On to the bronze matches. Women's pairs, Ontario 1, BC 10. Bronze. Ladies triples, Ontario 3. Alberta 10.
10, yeah, that's what it looks like.
And fours, Nova Scotia 2, BC 6. If that's actually... That must be the 6th end that they're playing on. There's no way they're on their 16th end, women's fours.
It's gotta be 6, yeah.
Thank you, David Anderson, for giving us that update. I'm sure many of you have been curious about how the women are doing, and my apologies for not giving you updates on their scores.
And pardon our misreading of some of the scores. It was written on a napkin. So.
I'll take whatever I can get. Wayne's throwing weight around, yeah. Al threw a very well-placed guard there up the front. Al took a few steps up and said that's the only shot he's got. So I think he's looking to maybe guard that. Grant's asking for Al to just draw another. Just pile him in. I'm not sure if I would want to do that right now, to be honest.
Yeah, just leave it as is.
John Petula just threw a drive and killed the end in the men's pairs over there. It's 19-6 Ontario over Saskatchewan in that game. Yeah, drawing into the head is very dangerous here because you might actually change an angle and make things a little easier for Wayne.
Just sliding by.
Just sliding by. So that's a few for Saskatchewan there. It's really starting to stretch out this lead.
Looks like a 2.
Yeah, 2, so 17-6. With 4 ends to go, this is an 11-point game. A little bit of advice, George Boxwell, saying do your best, get as close as you can. When we win, it is because of your bowls, positional or other. If we lose, it is because of me. So I'd have to think that it's a bit of a jive there, George saying that if you lose, it's because you played against him.
Yeah. Tom with a good opening bowl.
Rather than add-on takeoff or jack distance, one of the bowlers tweeted in that they change hands for a natural backhand that's 18 inches less. So I guess that's interesting. I guess if you naturally throw it shorter on your backhand, then if you want a shorter bowl, just switch hands. I'm not sure if everybody else is like that. I don't think that I would naturally throw a shorter bowl by switching hands. But to each their own.
Really good bowl.
Murray putting a close bowl in the head there. And that's really all you want from your lead, is to just put bowls into the head, get them close. You don't need to be shot, you just need to be something usable, give your team a chance, set it up. And Tom is playing a little aggressive there. It's an unfortunate rub the wrong way there as it's now buried behind Murray's. That made things a little trickier now for the Ontario crew. And I think Alex is just saying come on down to Tom's bowl, maybe flop in.
Yeah, just get something close.
Try to get rid of that bull on the side. And I think Grant's coming up just a tad bit short. Needed another 1.5 feet, 2 feet on that. Wayne said that he was close, but I think he's diving. Yeah. That's making things even tighter here now in that head. Alex is having a good long think about this,
Yeah,
where he wants it.
Do?
It's a tight head. Got a jack measure over there on rink 6 where it's 10-8 Alberta over Ontario and the 4 is gold. Men's 4s gold medal match.
Gonna stay on?
Not quite in the ditch. Fingers crossed that jack doesn't go into the ditch because our camera isn't positioned very well to see that. I have to go back, hop up there and try to re-angle it, and it's all the way down at the other end of the rink, so... Well, got rid of one, changed the angle a little bit. Lots of team discussion going on here about what shot to play. Al's trying to think a shot or two in advance about what could happen. I think he's asking for Grant to play a little bit of position. Men's triple bronze medal game is 16-13 Ontario over Nova Scotia right now, playing in number 12. Men's pairs is 19-6 Ontario over Saskatchewan, gold. Men's pairs bronze, they're playing in number 13. Nova Scotia has 7, I think Alberta has 12. I can't really see any other scoreboards. Way down at the end, women's 4s bronze, it's 7-2 BC over Nova Scotia.
Yeah. Lots of spectators here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bit of a wall there. All 4 guys are standing down there, side by side. Al is just coming off to the side. Bit of a wing. Wayne's playing the other hand.
Yeah, he's trying to just play on top of Murray's bowl.
And it hangs once you get out there. Didn't come back in time. So Al is looking to improve on his last, as I'm sure that's not where he wanted it to be. Since Wayne is playing the other hand, I'm not sure if he's just trying to draw into the head and change up an angle, or...
Yeah, I think so.
It ended up in a pretty okay spot, I suppose.
Yeah. Wayne's switch hands. Doesn't like it. Threw it wide.
Not sure if you could hear that, but we saw, was that Dave Stefan that was running down the greens at Hurry Hard trying to get a result? He can be quite loud.
Passionate. Very passionate. I'm not sure what happened there. Wow. Wayne just made a spectacular shot for 4.
Beauty.
4 points Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
Ontario's going to have a quick discussion. Wayne just wants to set the strategy for trying to get back in this game. That gave him a huge boost in the arm. Sorry for my quietness here. I'm working a little bit, trying to wear a couple hats here. For those of you who don't know, we are a national sport organization, so we have to comply with the World Anti-Doping Association, which means that our athletes have to comply with doping testing now and then. And so I get to work with the Canadian Centre for Ethics in Sport. They have one of their officers here today, so I'm wearing a few hats trying to sort things out with them. If you do end up being on either senior squad, development squad, and I think even youth development squad, you get to take a online course. I think it's called True Sport, or it's an educational module about doping. Now, a lot of people might think that lawn bowling wouldn't need to have that sort of testing, but there are in fact a few drugs that you could take that could increase your performance. Other target sports such as darts or shooting have to comply with this as well, because having something that could really steady your hand, calm you down, focus a little more, those sorts of drugs do exist. A lot of people might not know this, but even something as simple as cold medication can sometimes set off the radar, and some of the penalties are quite strict. You can be suspended or terminated, expelled, I guess, if you're found to have been taking illegal drugs. So if you're unsure, there is a list of prohibited usage. I'm sure if you look up World Anti-Doping or Canadian Anti-Doping List or something like that. Yeah, I believe it's WADA.com, W-A-D-A, and they'll have a list of pharmaceuticals, drugs, etc. that are accepted and prohibited, whether it's in competition or out of competition. So it's always good to check up if you're in a major competition, a part of the national squad, and possibly taking something which you think is quite mild or anything.
And if you are on any sort of medication, whether it's for sleeping or for pain medication or anything like that, you can get a therapeutic use exemption, a TUE, and so for that you need to fill out special forms and ask for clearance, saying that I have a medical condition, so I need to take these pills, and that's fine. You just need to make sure that you fill out the proper paperwork and notify the proper people to say, hey, it's not for performance enhancement, it's because I actually need to take these pills or this medication or whatever. So TUEs, therapeutic use exemptions, are out there, so if you are taking any sort of medication, make sure that you look into it. Grant's just rubbing off of Tom's to try to come into the head there.
Wayne just wants Tom to play into the head. If he moves the jack, that's perfectly fine.
Cam saying, woot woot, I missed the testing again.
Jim's bowl currently holding 1 in the head.
Wayne was just using the 1-dot spray that I was talking about yesterday or the other day. I like it so much better when you make a line. So if you move the canister when you're pressing down to spray it, so rather than just all of it being condensed in 1 dot, it's a little more visible over the side of the bowl. I'm falling asleep at the wheel here. I forgot to update the scoreboard from the last end. It's actually 17-10 here.
That's right.
My apologies, folks.
Didn't even notice. So.
Yeah, me neither.
Send your hate mail to Jake Shuknik at Bulls Canada.
Yeah, jshuknik at bullscanada.com is my email address. You can send me all the loving emails that you can think of. I will say it'll probably take me quite some time before I get a response back to you. I've got way too much on my plate right now between being here and trying to organize the seniors and then flying out to the singles and finishing up things for the mixed pairs as well. There's still a jam-packed summer ahead of us here after this. The senior triples are in Peterborough, Ontario, August 24 to 30. And then the outdoor singles are in Winnipeg, Manitoba, September 4 to 9. The mixed pairs are in Pointe Claire, Quebec, from September 14 to 19. And the indoor singles are at the PIBC in Vancouver, BC, from I think it's October 29 to November 4. So lots of bowls left yet to come this summer, even though it's already nearing the end of August. Oh, that's a great shot from Alex. Just drawing around Wayne's bowl there. Another jack measure next door. There's been quite a few of those here in these finals. Men's pairs bronze, 12-8 Alberta over Nova Scotia. 19-8 Ontario over Saskatchewan in the pairs gold, men's pairs. 13-3 Alberta over Ontario in women's triples, I believe. That's down on D6. BC over Ontario in women's pairs, I believe.
Tough decision for Saskatchewan to figure out how to protect this head.
There's a fair bit of chatter in the audience, so Alex just said, sorry, I can't hear you at all. There's too much noise going on, so I had to come down and have a chat with Grant and Murray about what to do.
Yeah. Al has a very unique discussion technique when he's about to get on the mat. He will carry his bowl up, but then he will tuck it in his shirt. He's done that regularly.
Yeah. Polishing it off. See what Alex can do here now that he's checked out the head. I guess he's just looking to get a back bowl and some position in. Keeping well enough away. Didn't want to touch it. After seeing Wayne throw a little bit of weight in his last one, he might be trying to do the same thing. Yeah, throwing a little bit of weight here. Well, that almost got a result, not quite. And they're yielding. That was another 2 to Saskatchewan, 19-10, and with 2 ends to go, I guess they're calling it quits. So that's now going to give us a little bit of time to try to move some equipment down and pick up one of the women's triples next door. So bear with us. We're going to have to shut the feed down for a little bit while we move equipment around. So stay tuned. We'll be back as soon as we can.